Hi, I'm Chad. I'm here to introduce you to Authenticate, a company that's going to make every day of your life better while securing the world's infrastructure. If you're like most people, your interaction with authentication products probably isn't great. Every morning, you have to remember your keys and your smart card before you leave the house, and when you get to work, you have to fumble around with them just to get in the front door. When you get to your desk and try and log into your laptop, you're presented with this password prompt that you may have forgotten and try a few times. Then you finally log into that, you go to your email, and yet another password prompt. But this one texts your phone with a number that you then have to enter into the computer, and we do all of this every day just to get our workday started. And this sucks. And it's not just frustrating for users. It's even more frustrating for administrators who have to hire all of these employees, make sure every employee has a smart card, uses a strong password, does proper security policies, and then when they forget those things, has to update them and make sure to keep track of all of these credentials. And then when they offboard the employee, they then have to delete them from every single system they ever added them to, because God forbid that they had a bad time working for you and want to do something to harm the company. And this is really frustrating. And the reason it's so frustrating is because it's broken. The system is fundamentally broken. And I mean this in both senses of the word. First, it's fractured. We have two totally separate industries trying to solve the exact same problem. And that problem is literally who has access to what. Is Chad allowed to go in that door? Is Chad allowed to log into that computer? And is Chad allowed to access that website? I also mean that it's broken in a security standpoint. I started my career as a hacker and then finished my PhD in this field. Along the way, I got to work for the Department of Defense doing offensive cybersecurity, and I can assure you that every system that we're using today is easily subverted by a sophisticated attacker. And this makes the situation even more frustrating. We're jumping through all these hoops every day, and we're still losing the battle to attackers and even simple attacks like phishing. But we can do better. At Allthenticate, our solution is called single device authentication, and the idea is quite simple. We already carry our smartphones around with us today, and these are chock full of really awesome hardware security features and fast processors. So if I can convince my phone that I'm me, it should be able to convince the rest of the world on my behalf, both my physical and my digital world. So what this means for Authenticate customers is that now when they hire a new employee, they simply go to our admin portal and invite them by email. This email will give them instructions on how to get onboarded into the system. Once they're registered, administrators can then add policies to give them access to any of the resources in the enterprise. The one you see here allows all of the employees to access the external doors, which will unlock automatically during working hours, but require a biometric after hours. So now on day one, employees can walk right in the front door, walk up to their computer, unlock it by simply pressing the Enter key, and log into any corporate websites by answering a simple prompt on their phone. And best of all, when the employee leaves, so do their credentials. This means that everything automatically locks behind them, their computers and doors. So never again do you have to wonder, did I lock that computer? Did I lock that door? Your company is secure by default. All of this is enabled by our patented architecture. What this architecture does is it lets us build secure systems like Lego blocks. At Allthenticate, we provide the three fundamental Lego blocks that let us interact with humans in a secure way, do processing in a way that cannot be subverted by malware, and store credentials in a way that even if you were to steal my phone, dissolve it in acid, or probe it, you would not be able to extract the credentials or clone it. Once we have this in place, we can now integrate with any system. It doesn't matter if it is a door, a phone, a computer, a server, or even a car. You'll get the same interactions and the same security guarantees. So from a business point of view, for the first time ever, this lets us offer a comprehensive all-in-one identity management solution for enterprises. From day one, when you onboard an employee, there will only ever be one credential for that employee, which you can track throughout the entire lifetime with our comprehensive logging. And then when you offboard that employee, they're instantly revoked from everything you've ever given them access to. We're selling this product to our customers for a fixed monthly fee per user. The reason for this is it has now become critical for modern enterprises to secure their physical infrastructure, their digital infrastructure, and their cloud infrastructure. And we never want to see any of our customers in the news for having any of these compromised. Furthermore, we can integrate with all of the solutions that companies are already using today. So when our employees go to log into their Gmail, they're prompted on the Authenticator app to log in, not the password that Gmail would give them by default. And to make the process even easier, we integrate with HR software. So when our employees are hired, everything is automatically provisioned for them at the time of hiring, and on their termination date, their credentials are immediately revoked. And if you've already invested in a single sign-on solution like Okta, you can easily integrate Authenticate as a trusted third-party identity provider. What this means is that you can use all of the functionality of Okta, but with the security and the integration with access control of Authenticate. And this summer, we're even adding FIDO Open Standards to our application, which means that everybody in the world can use the Authenticator app for free to get rid of passwords on all of their personal accounts. And these have been shown to be a great entry point for attackers to pivot and get into corporate accounts. And where does this place us on the competitive market? You can see that we are severely undercutting the competition in the physical access control market. And this is because they traditionally operated on very large upfront costs on the hardware. Whereas with Authenticate, the hardware is included as part of our monthly subscription. On the digital authentication market, we are a little bit more expensive, but let me remind you that we're offering a comprehensive solution to both their physical and their digital problems where no competitor can go toe-to-toe with us on. These markets are both huge and they're growing. The reason for the growth is that both of these markets are undergoing a renaissance period. Everyone has had the same realization that we've had internally. Why am I using a key that was invented in the Middle Ages and remembering all these passwords when my smartphone is unlocking my Tesla and unlocking my house? I should be able to use these same things at work. So over the next decade, I think you're going to see a huge resurgence in these markets as companies modernize their corporate infrastructure. And while we're a small company, we've come out with a very strong start. We've won a few notable startup awards already, one of them being TechCrunch Top Pick, and we were a South by Southwest finalist. We've already raised money from local investors and families and friends to get us off the ground, and we've onboarded some local customers in Santa Barbara that have given us invaluable feedback on how to make our product better. We're starting with small to medium-sized businesses. These are companies with low budgets, but still have a high need for security. We plan to work with them for a few years to really polish the user experience and make our product as good as possible. But in parallel, we want to start putting in the time to get the certifications required to operate in the enterprise and government markets. This is what our product was really designed to solve. And in 5 years, we see ourselves as being the globally trusted authentication provider in the world, offering things like continuous authentication, where you never have to take your phone out of your pocket, and even enabling things like e-voting and digital payments. This team is being led by me with a PhD in computer science and extensive research background in these areas, my CTO, Evan Blasband, who has a master's in electroengineering, which enables us to prepare all of our hardware in-house, keeping costs low and functionality high. And Rita, with her background in finance and math, makes sure that this company operates like a finely tuned machine. And finally, we have an amazing advisor in John Gerngross, who exited his company a few years back. We chat with him weekly to make sure that we're not going to make any of the typical amateur blunders that a startup would make. And this summer, you have the opportunity to join this amazing team. We're going to be raising a $2 million round, and we plan to use this money to really help dial in our customer acquisition pipeline, our marketing strategy, and scale our hardware so that we can be an international company in only a few years. A likely ending to our story is likely an acquisition. You can see in the recent news articles that there's been a couple very high-profile, high-value acquisitions in the authentication market. But it's worth noting that all of these companies combined only do a fraction of what Authenticate's technology is capable of. So if you're like us and you're sick of these antiquated, hard-to-use authentication solutions and want something better, come and join us in the authentication revolution.